Police want to question 5 people about the deadly shooting of a Frisco ISD student athlete at a weekend party.
Keith Slaughter was a senior at Lebanon Trail High School and a point guard for the varsity basketball team. Police do not believe he was a target for the shooting. They gave us surveillance video of the 5 people they're looking for tonight for Saturday's shooting in Little Elm. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is at Lebanon Trail High School tonight in Frisco with more on the murder investigation. Peyton.
And Little Elm police say that this party, it was a birthday party that happened at a home in Little Elm, hosting about 100 people. And 17-year-old Keith Slaughter was there, and according to his coach and his mother, he had a bright future ahead of him.
It's tough.
Joe Willis still in disbelief by the loss of 17-year-old Keith Slaughter, one of his players on the North Texas travel basketball team, YB33.
We are very much hurting. A lot. Like nobody's okay right now.
Slaughter, a senior at Frisco ISD's Lebanon Trail High School, was shot and killed over the weekend at a Little Elm party. 2 others were injured. Police did not say how many people had guns or used them, but they believe Slaughter was caught in the crossfire and not the intended target.
Man, just a whole life in front of him, and he had no idea, this would be his last, Saturday.
Willis says Slaughter took his talent seriously, a hard worker and a leader on and off the basketball court. His goal, to land a college scholarship. The point guard was just weeks away from his senior season on the Lebanon Trail's varsity team.
He wanted to take care of his mother and wanted to make sure his mother and his parents were taken care of through him. That was his goal. It was no doubt in his mind that he was going to take care of his family.
Most of them didn't want to go, some did. They live in Frisco, the party was in Little Elm.
Slaughter's mother, Natasha Slaughter, tells Fox 4 her son and his friends at first were unsure about attending the party on Saturday. The two had dinner and then said goodbye.
And he left, and that was my last time with him at home.
Meanwhile, Little Elm police are hoping to find 5 individuals who investigators say were at the party. Monday, the department released 2 surveillance videos. In the first, 2 people are running to a parked dark-colored vehicle. In the second video, 3 people in dark-colored hoodies are seen walking, but once they hear sirens, they run.
Our intention right now, because we're so early on, is really to release the video and ask the public's assistance if they can identify the individuals or the vehicle that they see on these videos.
A motive is still unclear, Steve and Heather, so we don't really know what led up to the gunfire. As for the 2 people who were injured, police tell us a woman was shot. She was taken to the hospital in critical condition. A male was also shot. He was found 2 streets over from where the scene was. Back to you.
All right, Peyton, thank you.
The man arrested for a hit-and-run accident in Dallas that left one of the victims with devastating injuries, believed to be an illegal immigrant who Immigration Customs Enforcement wants held so he cannot get out on bond.
41-year-old Gilberto Salasguera is charged with 5 counts of collision involving injury or bodily harm. The pickup truck he was driving had temporary paper license plates. We also got a closer look today at the damaged car the victims were in when they were hit. Fox 4's David Sintendry has more.
25-year-old Alan Tienda is getting an up-close look at his crushed 2019 Dodge Charger for the first time Monday, 10 days after it was T-boned in a hit-and-run crash at East Keast Boulevard and South Marsalis Avenue. Tienda and his wife survived, but were sent to a hospital in critical condition.
I don't know how I got to the hospital. I don't remember nothing.
Tienda spoke with Fox 4 over the weekend after Gilberto Salasguera was arrested. Police say the 41-year-old ran a red light and crashed his 2012 Ford F-150 into the couple's Dodge Charger before abandoning his truck and running away on foot.
And I didn't think they were going to find him. I honestly didn't.
According to the arrest affidavit, the F-150 is registered to Salasguera, and his Mexican passport was left in the truck. A detective made contact with Salasguera's ex-girlfriend, who told police he called her the night of the accident and told her he was involved in a crash and needed a ride.
You always got to think about what you do before you do the things.
The Dallas County Sheriff's Office says there is a federal illegal immigration hold on Salas Guerra, which means he's unable to post bond. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has not responded to Fox 4's requests concerning details of Salas Guerra's immigration status. A record search reveals his criminal history includes 4 traffic violations. One is a conviction of driving without a license in 2019.
Then you gotta face your consequences.
Tienda had bleeding to his brain and other injuries. His wife has a broken pelvis, shoulder, and head injuries. She remains in a hospital. Still, Tienda is grateful they're alive and around to take care of their 2 boys.
I thank God for giving me another chance and everything. And I just thank him so much for giving me another chance to be here alive, to keep going forward and be here for them.
David Centendry, Fox 4 News.
And according to the arrest affidavit, a passenger in the suspect's truck also took off running. But Dallas police say no additional arrests have been made at this time.
A teacher's aide at DeSoto High School has been charged with hitting a special needs student. Gloria Lowe surrendered to police yesterday morning and was charged with injury to a disabled person. Investigators say last Monday, Lowe hit an autistic, non-verbal student with an extension cord. Another student captured that on cell phone video. Fox 4's Amelia Jones live in DeSoto with details. Amelia.
Clarice, we know that it was another student who filmed the incident of 68 Gloria Lowe, and the arrest affidavit says that that student showed her mother and she alerted police. On October 20th, DeSoto police say a student was physically hurt by a teacher during a class for special education at DeSoto High School. According to the arrest affidavit, 68-year-old Gloria Lowe hit a student with a black extension cord, causing him to, quote, flinch and wince in pain. The class is for students with disabilities who are 18 and older. The affidavit says the victim is nonverbal, and a classmate recorded the incident on her cell phone. That classmate showed the video to her mom, who reported it to the police, according to the affidavit. DeSoto ISD told Fox 4 on Tuesday Lowe was placed on administrative leave while the district started an internal investigation. On Wednesday, DeSoto police issued a warrant for Lowe's arrest, and she turned herself in to police Friday morning. Lowe is charged with injury to a person with disabilities with intent of bodily injury. In a statement to Fox 4, DeSoto ISD called it a, quote, inexcusable act that, quote, does not reflect the compassion of the district's educator workforce. Fox 4 looked into Lowe's past, and records show she has 2 criminal DWI cases and a couple of minor offenses, but no previous criminal cases involving violence. Lowe worked at a different school district outside of North Texas before she was employed at DeSoto ISD. We reached out to the DeSoto ISD asking how long she'd been an employee there. We haven't heard back. Lowe was booked into the Dallas County Jail Friday morning on a $15,000 bond. We checked tonight, and she has since bonded out.
Arlington police tracked down a suspected gunman who was shooting at random strangers. Cause for alarm as the city prepares to host the World Series. Kelechi Ezegwu was charged with aggravated assault. Police say he shot 2 cars with people inside the vehicles. Fox 4's David Centendry live at Arlington Police Headquarters. David.
Yeah, random shootings are typically the most difficult to solve because it's usually difficult to find out exactly what a motive is. Today, a suspect was arrested in that same vicinity where those 2 shootings took place. 29-year-old Kelechi Ezegwu is in jail for allegedly shooting a gun at random people in Arlington.
We wanted to make sure that we got this guy off the streets as quickly as possible.
September 27th, the first shooting happened outside an Academy Sports off West Arbrook Boulevard, according to Arlington PD. Here's what that victim told police.
He saw somebody pull into the parking lot, saw a man get out and start to approach him. Thought it was kind of strange, so he started to drive away, and as he was exiting the parking lot, said that man pulled out a gun and started shooting at him.
The victim was not hit, but his car was struck. The next shooting happened Wednesday morning.
Again, in that same area there along Cooper Street, kind of near Arbrook.
It was outside a 24-hour fitness. The victim told police he was checking emails in his car before going to the gym.
And then someone walked up to his window holding a gun.
Multiple shots were fired, according to police. The victim was not injured, but his car was also struck.
They did not have any connections to this individual. Both of those shootings appeared to be random.
Thursday morning, the department released a photo of Azugwu as their suspect and his license plate number. Hours later, a flock camera found Azugwu's vehicle in the same area of the shootings. He was outside a fitness connection.
I've been coming to this gym for years now.
Jade, Hess, and her 6-year-old son were at the gym hours after Azugwu was arrested.
It is alarming hearing about a shooter in the parking lot and everything. It is an eye-opener to check my doors and watch my surroundings and everything.
Azugwu did not have a criminal history prior to these shootings, but back in April, Arlington Police Department says he showed up right here to the department demanding help and said that if he did not receive it, he was going to hurt either himself or others. The department says they were able to get him to a mental hospital, but he was not charged with a crime at that point in time. Right now, after these shootings, he's charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
The special agent in charge of the Dallas FBI says its most important mission, a couple of things, combating violent crime and gun crimes. Chad Yarborough talked about a wide range of issues exclusively with Fox 4's Sean Rabb, and Sean's in studio tonight to share more of that conversation. Sean.
Yeah, Heather, we talked as the FBI released its nationwide violent crime report last week. Now, homicides in Dallas are still up, but all other types of violent crimes and gun crimes down. But across the Dallas division of the FBI, the press on the street is to try and markedly impact violent crime.
Obviously, violent crime is at the top of the list. It is causing significant impacts on our neighborhoods throughout our communities.
Dallas recording 3 more homicides this past weekend, 208 murders so far this year. Overall, gun crimes in Dallas are down more than 12%. But in many of the violent crimes, the guns being used are stolen.
That's obviously a huge concern for us.
FBI Special Agent in charge of the Dallas Division, Chad Yarborough, talked with me about what they are seeing on the streets, like so-called Glock switches, illegal modifications that turn semi-automatic firearms to fully automatic.
We've encountered those even more and more frequently this past year.
And repeat offenders who should not have guns, stealing them or buying illegally.
We're leaning in on federal prosecutions and making sure that we're going after those violent offenders who are caught with firearms, and working with our ATF and other state and local partners to target those individuals who have that violent history and we know to be committing violent crimes.
Equally concerning, teenagers caught up in dangerous and deadly behavior.
And we're definitely seeing an uptick in juveniles who are victims of violent crime. And with my view here in Dallas, I've seen that we're seeing an uptick in violent crime in general by juveniles.
Yarborough says not only the juvenile system, but society has to do a better job to try and break the cycle of teens in trouble.
Whether it be proactive programs and community outreach to reach those youth before they commit that crime, or whether that's trying to prosecute those individuals who have committed that violence, we have to be leaning in on both of those options.
So the encouraging news, while homicides are still up, the really encouraging news, violent crime reduction efforts seem to be having some impact across the city of Dallas.
All right. Sean Rabb, thanks.